We have a few things to talk about today. One huge, I think huge, for Man United is that David De Gea, our goalkeeper, has re-signed a contract. What do you think?
That is huge. That is huge.
Yeah.
Because he's been such a great goalkeeper for you guys, and not having him back would have been a big, big blow for you guys. So I'm happy for you guys. You guys got it.
Yeah, we have until 2023 with a possibility of a year extension.
Yeah.
And I think it's huge because he's one of the older guys now.
Yeah.
You know, with a lot of the people that we have.
And if you guys get a trophy, he's gonna not want to go. So he would want to stay.
That's right.
And you know, Manchester has the history of keeping players for a while.
We do.
So just like coaches.
We're keeping people that we shouldn't be keeping.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Jones and people like that. But okay, well, that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
So we're going to review our game against Leicester.
Well, you got the win.
Yeah.
I know it was the minimum score, and I know it was a PK, but it was essential in my mind because Rashford took it, and he was able to get his confidence back because he scored it. We knew what happened with him last time he took PK. So.
Yeah, which I think was great that he was the one that stepped up to take it, and obviously scoring was huge. I've always been a big believer that when I have a player on the field who takes a PK and misses, they have to take it again when we get that opportunity.
Right.
And hopefully they bury it, and then that way they get their confidence back.
Yeah, which is what you should do.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that all the time in the pro, so that's perfect.
It just stunk that it was, I think it was like the 8th minute.
Right.
And so then the rest of the game was kind of boring, and unfortunately nobody in America got to watch it unless you pay for NBC Gold.
Right.
Because it wasn't aired. And so I was doing a watch along with the United stand, and even the guy there, he wasn't even watching it. It was somebody else that was calling in.
Right.
And so at times it was kind of like boring because they're trying to think of things to say because the game wasn't all that exciting.
So with that in mind, we're gonna go into framing the box.
Yeah. So we were gonna do a new segment called Chalk Talk, where we're going to go to the board and we're going to talk about a specific thing. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was the way that Man United is framing the box. This is why I think they're not getting the scoring chances that they need.
So you're going to get an explanation of what they're doing wrong, and what they should be doing. Correct? So this is Chalk Talk.
Okay, so this is our segment of Chalk Talk. So we were talking about Man United, the way they frame the goal. And so the O's, okay, that's the offensive players, and then the X is a defense. I know for some of you soccer guys that's probably reversed, but it makes it easier to look at. So, for example, when they brought the ball down here, there was a time in the game where he made the pass backwards, but look, there's no offensive players there. They're all way beyond the ball. And to me, this is basic 101. You know, they should know this. You know, you got your defenders back here, you know, trying to cover and keep it down there, which is great, but they've got their defenders, and there's nobody to get it except them, you know, the other team. I mean, this guy will get it, this guy will get it, this guy steps earlier because these guys are going in this direction.
Right.
So to me, it's amazing that they're pros, and this is how they're framing the box.
Exactly.
You know? So the way it should go, and if we were to change it, okay, or if I was the coach, I would be, and I'm not the best artist, people, so you know, forgive me if my lines are kind of off here. Okay, that's the PK spot for some of you that don't understand. Okay, so we've got our defenders. If this player has the ball here, right, and he beats his defender, which happened before, okay, and he's got his support, right? He's got some support there, okay? Then you need to have a runner running this direction, near post, right, Coach?
Exactly.
Okay? And he's hopefully pulling a defender, right? And then technically you would have someone sitting in this area, okay? Remember, O is the offense, so he's got a defender there. Then you need to have someone who's running to that back post to cover, right? And then these guys, okay, are fine where they are because they're all defenders. And so if you can see, you've got 8 guys here. That still leaves 2 guys, right? So you need to at least place, somebody should be holding up on top of that 18 if the defenders can't do it. So you should have somebody holding up there at least, you know, because they're not going to mark it. Face it, they're going to be doing this, technically, right? Most of the time that's what they're going to be doing, okay? And then you could have your other one here who he should be either running here or he should be even wider, depending on how they're coming down. How do you see? Do you agree that that's
Well, if you
better?
think about it, that's actually the pressure that Watford was doing for Arsenal on Sunday.
Okay.
They did the same thing, and this is why we lost the ball because, you know, we had our player sending over here, the keeper gives it to him, and now we have Wendozi over here, gives him the ball. Well, he loses it because these 2 guys put pressure on him. He loses the ball, and the guy just takes a shot.
Yeah.
And that's all you need is put that kind of a pressure on the team, and then it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you have that section that you were talking about, putting in pressure on the defenders, because the defenders are worried about the danger zone first.
Right.
Once they do that, then you guys bring these guys in. Now they have to feel more pressure, which is what ended up happening to us.
Right.
So yeah, that's really the way to do it.
And it works both ways. If a cross is coming in from either side, you always have the near post or far post. You always have someone around the PK spot, and then you have to have some people holding on the 18. And with this situation, if it's crossing here, this guy, if he knows that it's not coming his way, then if he sees that it's coming this way, now he can back up this guy.
And because you have those 2 defenders, you know, helping each other, you can actually have these guys go down at the end.
Exactly.
On both sides, you have them on either side.
Right. So then you've got even support if he hits it too wide.
Exactly.
You know?
And then this person would just, if he gets the ball back, or let's say he loses the ball, now you have somebody that's able to get it right before the other team gets it.
And so it amazes me because these are professionals and they should know this. And
even if they don't, this is what the coach should be talking about to them during practice or before practice. You know, this is what we need to do once we get on the field.
Yeah, it's simple. All
So
right.
that's our chalk talk for today.
All right, cool.
So let's go back to our show.
Okay.
All right. All right, so that was
Chalk talk.
Chalk talk. Thank you. Now we're going to talk about, Matic and Mata. Too slow for this group?
Way too slow.
Okay, so when Fred and Chung came on, do you see a difference?
I saw a big difference.
Okay.
I think everybody saw the difference. And this is why I don't understand why Ole and his coaching staff don't get it.
Right.
I mean, you had last year, you saw what they can and can't do. And we're not saying they're bad players. I mean, they're professionals. They've done great, but they're getting old.
Yeah.
They've lost a step. It's time to move on.
So how would you do your lineup?
So for the defense, obviously take Young out and put Shaw in there when he's healthy. But as far as the midfield goes, I would do Pereira, Gomez or Fred, and McTominay.
Okay.
I think those 4 interchanging would make a very good lineup because McTominay's got that size.
Right.
And then the other 3, they've got skills, they got speed, that kind of stuff. And then up top, I would do James on one side, Rashford on the other, and then if Martial's healthy, I'd put him, and then if he's not, Greenwood in that center.
Okay.
Because the 4-3-3 is really what they've been going with more.
Right.
And so that's what I would do. I do think that Martial and Greenwood are more of a point player than Rashford is.
Right.
And
with his speed, he can go anywhere. Like I was saying, he's like Aubameyang in our team, where he can destroy any defenders on either the left or the right because of their speed and their size.
Right.
So they can go in whenever they have to, but they can attack always to the outside and then just beat their defenders.
Right. So, like we said, at least we won. It was huge for us. It put us into 4th or 5th place.
Yeah. Place that we should have been in.
which we'll get to. So, our upcoming game, which is Thursday, which I don't know if the show will be up by then because it's in 2 days, but we play in the Europa League. Ugh. Okay, Thursday night games, not always good for.
Well, you played
for us.
FC Astana, so what do you think?
Well, that's the thing. FC Astana, they play in the Kazakhstan league, and they're 4-1 in league. So
Right.
they're in third place, which is good, but there's only 12 teams in the league, and it is Kazakhstan. So, you know, depending on who Ollie decides to play, which you got to put the young guys in. You got to give the young guys chances.
Right.
And it's one thing, like if you put Fred in, who's not technically young, but he's still new to the team, he's only been there for a year, you can't play him little bits of time.
Yeah.
You got to keep him for 4 or 5 games in a row,
Right.
and just see if he can handle it. And if he can't, then you know.
And you got to
get
give him
rid
the
of
time, because how is he going to adapt to the way
the
of
league.
play to the
Yeah.
league if he's not getting the play?
Exactly.
Because
exactly.
we know what he could do. We know what kind of a player he is. So we know that.
He's Brazilian, for crying out loud. I mean, it amazes me that he must be bad in training. And that's why
There's got to be something that he does that doesn't, that Oli doesn't like or something.
Yeah, or it's just maybe it's a language barrier
thing.
or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. I have no idea. All right, so let's move past Man U and let's go into Arsenal. So what did you think of your?
Oh man, playing the last place team, Watford, and I know we're away. We were the visitors. We had a 2-0 lead, and we let them come back. Now we played okay in the first half. We have played a terrible second half, and once we let that goal in, it was a big mistake.
Right.
Major mistake. You make an error like that to a team that's playing at home with that crowd cheering, you're going to let them come back to the game.
Right.
And that's exactly what they did. And they could have won the game. They had more shots on the second half than the entire game from both teams combined. I mean, they took so many shots. Guendouzi, guy who had a great game the game before, has a horrible game this time. And he's the one that gave out that goal away, if there's that rule now where you can, on a goal kick, you don't have to bring it out of the box, right? So you give it to a defender, you have that pressure. The team is, the other team is at home, so they're pressuring you because they want to tie the game. So you give it to someone, Guendouzi, which is in the middle of the top of the box, and he loses the ball.
Right.
Now the other team's attacking, they bring it in and they score. Now you let them in the game.
Right.
And, oh man, that just killed it for us.
But we have said in the past that a 2-0 lead is the worst lead you can have, because you get complacent and you start to relax a little bit. And then if the other team scores, well, now there's pressure and you got to open it up a little bit more, which allows the other team to score.
Well, and the other thing is, Özil finally started the game, and he comes out because he's still not 100%.
Right.
Because he comes out again minute 60.
Right.
He was doing well. He wasn't doing his best, but I'd say he was at a 90-95%. But still, he had to come out. The Souths, I like Pereira coming in, but I think that should have been sooner because Guendouzi was not playing at all well, and he got a yellow card at the end of the first half. So it's something that I think Emery needs to look at. Which Ceballos was doing well, and he took him out first. I think he should have let him stay a little bit longer because he was the one controlling the midfield for us. And he has a great way of looking at the game. So I never would have taken him out, or at least not till towards the end of the game, because he was doing well.
So you've got your UEFA game coming up. What's your?
And that's the thing. We're playing Frankfurt or Eintracht Frankfurt. Playing the Bundesliga, but they're in the 9th place on the table, and they're 1-3 in league. So we can't go what we did with Watford. Last place team, and we think we got it.
Right.
We can't do that anymore. So hopefully the guys will wake up and see, how important this game's going to be, because you got to start winning from the beginning when you're, in a cup like this.
Well, especially since last year, if they had won that tournament,
exactly,
they'd be in the Champions League. They wouldn't be in it. So it's
it cost us.
Yeah, it did. It cost us.
And then not winning with Watford cost us. We would have been in third place if we would have stayed at that win. We would have kept it. Instead, we went down all the way to fifth place.
Well, and you guys played on Sunday, and we played on Saturday. And so after our game, I was looking at the teams, and there was you, there was Everton, and there was West Ham that could all go above us. And I thought for sure you guys are going to go above us. And then that did not happen.
Which, on my app that I have, it always shows you once you're scoring and you're up in the lead, it places you automatically where you're going to go. And we were already placed in third place because we had a 2-0 lead. And then going from that third place all the way down to fifth.
Yeah, but that's not a huge
No, it's not. But now you have 3 teams ahead of you. That should have been below you instead. And I know even one of those was you, the other one was Tottenham, and the other one was Chelsea. So that would have been great for us, starting
to get above
that cup with being in third place. That gives us more hope. So we'll see.
Okay, so we're going to move on. So last time we were on the show, we talked about the U.S. men having a friendly against Mexico.
And boy, was I wrong.
I was way off. I thought it was 1-1. Ended up being, 3-0. Mexico just destroyed us. What are your thoughts on it?
All right, so on this one, I got to tell you, and I think me and you were, talking and texting back and forth about this game. Other than Pulisic, our team looked like we were at a completely different level. I mean, Pulisic was up here with the players from Mexico, whereas the rest of the team were at a lower level. I mean, we couldn't compete. There was no way. Our team looked horrible. We looked like we didn't know what we were doing. And even though we had some veterans in there, they were still playing at a lower level. And we were hoping to see a better game. And we talked about, Mexico may take this game, but it would have been a closer game. And it didn't look like at all like that. So, they just killed us.
Well, and I think I'd play Pulisic as a number 10. I think on the outside, he just doesn't get enough action. He's a playmaker, in at least with our team.
I think they were looking at how he gets played. Their teams, and because they put him on the left when he was at Dortmund, that's what he was playing. And now at Chelsea, he's doing the same thing.
But when you play with different personnel,
and that's the thing. You needed people to feed in the ball too. Because he had to go back and start looking for the ball because he wasn't getting anything. And Mexico came out with all their guns. Everybody was there. And even the guys on the bench. Everybody. That kid I told you about, the one they called Chucky. I mean, that guy was dangerous. He scored the first goal. And so there's so many players that play so well for Mexico, and they just made us look bad.
And we didn't take enough risks.
No.
I think I know the guys are young, but you got to take risks. We were talking about earlier, soccer's not very different between, say, the high school level and the pro level. The biggest difference is fitness and your decision making on the field. You're quicker at your decision making. Obviously, the knowledge of the game grows, but still, it's not a huge difference. So these guys who have been playing pro, even though they're young, they should still be able to adapt to this.
Because like I was telling you earlier about Barcelona, what they did, they brought a kid from the lower level team to the pros on Sunday, and look what he did. He scores 16. His goal, and he's 16 years old. So you can't say that the youth is not as good. Because not only do you have youth speed and everything else, stamina, but you have somebody who's coming, from a lower level to the high level and being able to, just blend in and in fact stand out because he scored that first goal. And later on with De Jong, all the good younger players played at Barca. They played a great game, and that's what I was hoping with, with the U.S. because we had so many, players that are so young. So that's what we were hoping for.
So we were hoping.
So. U.S. men versus Uruguay, friendly. What about your thoughts on this one?
I think they did okay. It was 1-1. I still think they're too slow, not taking enough risks. I do like Lletget as a midfielder, and Ream as a center defender gave us a lot more stability in the back.
And I think our players also, because Uruguay didn't have like Suarez,
Right.
Or Cavani. They
Right.
gave him a little bit of a boost,
Right.
So they were able to, stay in the game. A 1-1 tie against Uruguay is a big deal.
Yeah, and
Because if you look at Mexico, after beating us, they got killed by Argentina. So Mexico made us look bad, and then Argentina makes Mexico look worse.
bad. Yeah, and
not
it
just
was
bad, it makes them look
Argentina's
worse.
B team.
Yeah, because Messi wasn't there, Aguero wasn't there. I mean, the only star that I could think of was Cibala, or what's I can't think of his name. I went blank. But anyway, and Rojo, which he hasn't played. I was looking at the time. He's played like 17 games in 2 years for Man U.
That's why he's one of those players that needs to go.
Yeah.
Why is he still there? I haven't a clue.
And he was playing in that game against Mexico, and he did well with Argentina.
Yeah.
Because he was playing with the younger guys.
Yeah.
And the younger guys did well for Argentina. I mean, they killed Mexico, and Mexico had the same team that faced us. So they had all their stars.
Yeah,
so they had no excuse, and then they got beat. Yeah.
I think they went into it super confident after the way they
because
beat
they
us.
thought, they beat us.
And because it wasn't Argentina's best.
Yeah.
So
they figure, Messi's not going to be there, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our show today. Short and sweet. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, we'll be able to do well on Thursday, both our teams.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get wins and keep moving on.
And see how we do also the Premier League after.
Yeah.
So after this show, we'll be back on the next one.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have maybe Sean.
Hopefully Sean will be back. He flaked.
All right. We'll see you next time on
All right.
the Red Devil Gunners.